This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast, a show that brings you marketing stories, tips, hints, and much more. A treat for those who want to succeed in business or marketers who just want to learn.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am melting, absolutely melting this week. It's a heat wave in the UK, which is not normal. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So you need to get an ice cream.
Yeah,
Do you like ice cream?
I do like ice cream. I prefer frozen yogurt.
I've been eating quite a lot of frozen. Well, I'm going to say quite a lot. I mean, when I go for an ice cream here, I end up having frozen yogurt, which is very nice.
Yeah, frozen yogurt is good. I don't think they don't make nice frozen yogurt here in the UK though. I'm still addicted to the South African version. Marcel's frozen yogurt, English toffee with peppermint crisp. Marcel's, if you're looking for a UK distributor, pick me. I will give up all my jobs and just sell frozen yogurt.
Well, it's my favorite one here is just like the normal yogurt with they've got, what's it called? It's like is it like Biscoff or something like that?
Biscoff is good.
Biscoff, but it's like they make it's like a Biscoff sauce, so it's like the salty caramelly, like the salty caramelly with the yogurt, and then I have brownie on top as well. It's so good. I love it.
So McDonald's McFlurries had a Biscoff flavor for a couple of days, and I managed to get one, but now it doesn't have it anymore. Like, come on.
It's a shame. I think that's one of the for me, I love sweets that have an element of salt and sweet to it. That's just amazing. There's actually a gelato place in Oxford. I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's on the high street, and it's really, 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 really good. And they have a salted caramel one there, and it blew my mind. I was like, I've been there many times. It's very good.
I'm gonna have to make a trip and go and see.
I think it's called Swoon or something like that. Swoon or Spoon. I'll have a look at it and I'll send it. You can go and treat yourself and your kids.
Well, me. Doesn't have to be the kids. It can be me.
Well, just in case they're with you and you. I can't imagine you'd go and buy ice cream and you're with them and you told them to wait outside whilst you went in and bought your own ice cream and ate it. You're mean, but you're not that mean.
Okay, you're right. I'm not that mean. More likely I'll sneak off quietly and go and buy it myself and then eat it in the car before I get home.
Yeah. So, I mean, being here in Colombia, I'm missing all of the
election drama, right?
Election drama, yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's picking up.
Exactly. I was speaking to my mum the other day, and she thinks that there is a clear winner in Labour. I don't know. I haven't followed anything, but something I have looked at is I saw a news article the other day talking about the media spend and the media spend difference between the parties, social media spend, and where they have Labour who have spent they spent over £1.5 million, something like £1,700,000 on Meta. So that's just the Meta platforms, and Conservatives have spent just over 800,000, which is quite a lot. Yeah, and then the next biggest party is the Green Party, which, so I'm just looking at the figures here. Green Party and the Lib Dems, they spend about 100,000. So in comparison to those lot, it's absolutely nothing. And then Reform, which is the new, I guess the new party, isn't it? With Nigel Farage. Yeah, they've spent close to nothing, like 20,000. In comparison to Labour and Conservatives, absolutely nothing. So the question is, do you think that Labour's spend has converted into and get higher engagements than everyone else, if they're spending more than double that everybody else, do you think that's instantly converts into higher social interactions?
So I don't. I think it depends on what you're posting, right? Interaction is driven by content.
Yeah.
But looks from your face, it looks like you know the answer, Alex.
Yeah, I do.
So
You know the answer.
it was a trick question. Did I get it right?
You did. So Reform, remember the ones who spent around 100,000, have had over 1.5 million social interactions.
Wow.
And in contrast, Conservative and Labour, who they've got about the same amount each, they got around 500,000 social interactions. So let's look at Labour. Labour have had 500,000 social interactions, but they've spent more than 1.5 million. But so Reform have got 3 times the number of social interactions, but you could almost say they spent nothing.
Yeah, that is fascinating. So their content must be so much better, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you call better.
Well, better driving engagement.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you look at it, maybe let's look at Trump, because I guess it's probably more of a global understanding of what type of content he pushes out.
Yeah.
We can say he has quite controversial content, opinions, and a lot of it is personally coming from him rather than behind the brand, right? Rather than behind a part, let's call the party a brand, because it is basically. He is putting out social media content that is from his own account, from his own words, or at least it seems like it. And he just says what he thinks without any care of whether or not it's controversial or not. And he is speaking to the minds of the people who are, what would you call them? The few. I mean, they're not the few anymore, but speaking to the people who have controversial thoughts outside of what is regular policies, let's say.
Yeah. And those are more active, and perhaps that's the same with Nigel Farage's party. It's those who are the most frustrated who are engaging, right? Who are most frustrated with the norm. The vast majority of the population who's fine, it's like not frustrated, happy, they're not going to bother with engagement. So it's also, I suppose, who your followers are. So there's another angle. It's not only the content you're putting out, but it's also going to depend on how active your followers are.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point there. They're very clever in understanding the bugbears, let's say, that their audience has. So we're going to talk about immigration, for example, because I guess that's probably that's a big bugbear of a lot of people. But it's also a controversial subject because it's sort of contrary to some human rights. But so there is a controversy there, but then their audience feel like they're not being listened to because they're not getting what they want in their own country, and they feel like they're having things taken away from them in their own country. And if they have a leader who talks about that openly, they're talking to the controversy and also fueling the fire of the bugbear that the audience has. And like you said, that just makes them very active, and they want to share it because it's something they're very passionate about.
And it can be positive or negative engagement, right? So if we think about when we were very active in insurance, if you put out a stat saying we pay 99% of claims, let's say that was your social media post, you got lots of engagement from all the people who weren't paid, right? It wasn't the people who were paid going, yes, that was lovely. Oh, thank you so much. You got lots and lots of engagement from all the people who, oh, no, I didn't get paid. You're a liar. You stink. You like lots and lots of engagement, but it's all negative engagement. But if you purely looked at an engagement stat, that was going to be your best post. But if you looked at the sentiment, it's your worst post. So I think, and it would be interesting to go and see what Reform's stats are. Like, are they getting so yes, they're winning in engagement, fabulous. But is it positive or negative engagement? And does it depend? What about saying, oh, we're gonna send all young men to the army, right? Like we're gonna bring that back. I think that's going to have both. You're going to have people in favor, but you're also going to have people not in favor, right? Anti. So you're going to have lots of engagement and probably quite a balanced view, because that comment enrages both sides. Either enrages positively, going, yes, 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 we've always wanted this, or no, 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 you're out of your mind. That'll never happen. But it's that divisive, right? Like it's clear cut. You're not going to be on the fence about it. You're going to pick a side.
No, exactly. So but you make a really good point. It'd be very interesting to deep dive into the sentiment of those interactions, because I'm sure it's not 100% positive. I'm sure there's a few people on there wanting to backlash against the content that's being put out there.
Yeah, and interactions have caused, so if you're talking about levels of interaction, you have just your like, smiley face, whatever. So just sending an emoji, right? That's very low engage. That's very low level of interaction. I can do that very quickly as I pass, going like, move on. And then you get all the way through to comments, right? Like comments, actually add my opinion. That's a lot more engagement. And then share, which is, repost that as my own opinion. That's really what sharing is, saying, look how much I support this. So that's also interesting, and it's important. It's really easy for media to publicize a stat like that, because it creates attention, right? It's an interesting stat. But if you're a business owner, I would really say be careful of what you're measuring, because that's what it is. You need to drill down into, is it actually the attention you want? Are you happy with 1 million thumbs up? Is that good enough? Because people were scrolling and they just ticked. So maybe, I bet you, in fact, I've got evidence. If you put a puppy picture in your social media post, you are going to get increased likes, without a doubt. Guaranteed. If that's your measurement, you want lots and lots of thumbs up and hearts, stick a puppy in.
But are you going to get any new business from that?
Exactly. And will people actually comment? Probably not. Unless it's, that's
but they say, cute dog.
Really cute puppy. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, it's all very well if that's your measurement, but make sure it's actually driving the business outcome you're looking for.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And what does it all boil down to? Who are you talking to, and who is your audience, and
always
what is it that they actually want to learn about? What do they want? What value do they want, or what value do they need from you?
Yeah, or even understanding, and actually that's what that party has done well, right? Understanding what the loves and the hates are, because that's, if you just want to create noise, because if you're a newcomer entering in a well-defined world, creating noise is probably your best way, right? To break through, let people see, put your flag up, here we are. And so really understanding what your bugbears of your audience are, so that you can talk about it. You can, and talk about it either way, either in support of, or if you really want to just rile people up so that because guess what? Now people know who they are, right? If you just riled them up by stating something which will get them all commenty, then if that's your strategy, go for it.
One of the brands that I remember who did that really, really well in the beginning when they were launching was Paddy Power, the betting agency.
Yeah.
Their strategy was, we're going to make extremely controversial adverts that sometimes and quite often don't really have that much to do with betting. They do have a tenuous link to betting, but we know that they're going to get banned. Or they were controversial, but they were not controversial enough to not be aired, but they were controversial enough for people to complain about it. So they were really, really clever, because you know what it's like trying to get an ad through clearance on TV.
Lots of work.
Easy. It's not easy. So imagine trying to create an advert
that will get complaints, but still gets passed.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to be honest,
that's an art.
It is a skill. It's a real skill. So they would bet on getting free publicity from their adverts being banned by the ASA. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
By being banned by that, because they had a great PR. They were basically a great PR powerhouse.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it went out, there was a complaint, all of the big tabloids would pick it up and publish it for free. And Paddy Power just got incredible publicity. It was genius.
Absolutely. And probably all the naysayers that were complaining were never going to gamble anyway, right? So they weren't even
not losing anyone.
They weren't losing their target audience. Yeah. It was a gamble, but not a gamble, because the people who loved gambling and who will go to Paddy Power, they'll still go, right? It didn't affect them. So they just created a lot more negativity with people who hated them anyway, right?
No, I completely agree. I think it was a genius strategy. I think the only risk they had was probably expensive production costs, because maybe they had to refine until it got cleared, approved. Because you know how expensive that can be just to do slight editing, and even getting it through to clearance costs money. There's a lot of costs involved in it, but clearly it's worth it, because they're one of the biggest, the most successful betting agencies still.
And it's interesting how they would, how would you do the ROI of that campaign? Because you must want increased business, right? Why else would you do it? You want increased business. You're actually betting against negativity from those who'll never come from you, which raises your profile to get more feet through the door. That's quite a complex ROI calculation, right?
Yeah, and I think they can do it as well, because it's not really a controversial product, as in everybody knows what betting is.
And you don't have to explain it as well, so you don't have that wasted air.
Exactly. It's not like, let's say, insurance, where people in insurance are called scammers, right? Oh, you're just going to take your money, you're never going to pay back. But betting, everyone knows what it is. Everyone knows the risks involved. Yeah, and you're doing it because you also enjoy the thrill of doing it. You know what it is. So they're not going to. It's not, when they get the negative responses or negative publicity, it's not going to turn people into saying, "Oh, your product is so unethical," blah 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 blah, like they would with something like insurance, perhaps. Yeah. So the product is safe. It's just the noise around the brand that they have to monitor and be careful with.
Yeah. Right. Organic. So what are your top 3 lessons, Alex, for someone who wants to get social media presence?
Well, I think and I know it's the same as you, my mindset is to try and get the most out of what we have organically. Yeah. Using all of the potential content that we have available, and creating that in a format that adds value to our customers, and in a format that a digestible format that in the way that they consume the media. I would look at paid if once I feel like I have the correct formula organically, in terms of getting a lot of engagement, and I might use it just to further boost it. But I wouldn't use it as a vehicle to create the noise. To create the noise, I want it's around the content. I would use it maybe later on. I still rarely use paid advertising, to be honest. But I would use it later on down the line. I think this is more reference to social media. I think with traditional media, that's not really anything that's a non-negotiable. If you want to have an ad in traditional media, you have to pay. But with social media, I think, it's just an incredible tool to be able to drive organic business. But yeah, as I said, once you see the formula working, once you see the engagement happening, I think you can use the paid advertising as a boost. Unless you have maybe an offer that you want to spread wide or something like that, like a one-time offer or something like that. But I would always pitch for organic building over paid, and then, as I said, just use it later on to enhance that boosting.
Yeah. And I think very much, it always starts with making sure you really know your target audience and deciding. I know you mentioned value, but if you run, and I would always think in terms of campaigns, try and make your material evergreen, obviously, but think in terms of campaigns. And your campaign could be a value campaign of adding value, but it could be a disruptive campaign. And as long as you're clear on what you're trying to do and what you want to achieve with that, I think you can get really, really good activity with organic. I think there's a lot of scope. I think you and I are of the same mold. We're both cheap. We'd rather not spend money if we can help it. Yeah. Maybe that's from our insurance background, is where we had to deliver the most value with the least amount of spend, right?
Yeah.
But and because it can be an expensive test paid, right? You can pay a lot of money and get Zippo. You can pay some money and get lots, absolutely. But it can be, if you get it wrong, it can be a very expensive test.
Yeah, I'd much rather spend my budget on production rather than advertising, creating quality content. If you have to create great quality videos, or if you don't feel comfortable with copywriting, and get good copywriters, graphic designers, website designers, thing that for me is worth the investment over advertising.
Brilliant. Well, we'll keep an eye out on the selection and see what happens.
Who are you voting for?
Oh, you're not allowed to ask me that.
Oh, come on, I think that's like the days of not telling are gone.
No, I'm definitely not spreading those words out on a podcast for everyone to hear.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Cool. All right.
Well,
thank you very much.
Have a good week, and we'll talk again soon.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That wraps up this episode of Giraffes Don't Eat Steak. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found value in our discussion and got some new ideas to apply to your own business. Tune in next week for another round of marketing insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you listening. Catch you next time on Giraffes Don't Eat Steak.